My name is Bill Bailey. This is my wife, Laura. We're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Well, we had a mold problem in the house, and we noticed some staining on the inside of all the closet doors and all the doors in the bedrooms. And I could smell the mold when I walked into the house. So I'm very sensitive to mold, and I usually can tell if I'm in a moldy environment just because of the way physically I react. So I actually started getting sick from the mold. And I normally have what's called a histamine reaction, and my throat will actually kind of start closing up. And so I knew when I came back to the house that we had a significant problem.
I first noticed it just outside the vents, the discoloration around the air conditioning vents. And, you're prone to think, well, that's just, the house is old, it's just dirt, something like that. So I tended to ignore it. And then every now and then I'd wake up, sometimes from the sleep in the night, with sinus issues, that kind of thing. So, and Laura was talking about her smelling mold, so I said maybe she's right. Yeah, I was driving back from work and heard the ad about Mold Zero USA on WJBO. And I was driving in heavy traffic, didn't have time to write down the number, but I remembered Mold Zero USA.
I would say for Jim, he's not only the most professional, he's the most caring. I don't know if you would call him a contractor or, whatever category you would put him in. We've never had someone genuinely show their compassion, genuine compassion for our health and our safety and what's going on here with us. So when I first met Jim, I talked to him on the phone for a little bit, and then he came out to the house like the very next day. And so when I met him, he ended up staying for about 2 to 3 hours, which I was completely shocked at, because we had another mold remediation company come out the week prior, and they stayed for maybe 30 minutes. They did a quick run through of the house. They never tested anything. The black stuff around the vents in the ceiling, he identified that as only being dirt. And I knew that it was mold in the house because of how my body reacts. And so when Jim came into the house and he walked through the front door, he said, I don't know how anyone can walk into this house and not know that there's mold in here. I smell it immediately. And he immediately pointed to the vent in the ceiling, and he identified what he was assuming was that type of mold. What I loved about Jim was just not only his professionalism, but I could tell that he really was concerned about us and our health. He had a lot of compassion, and he stayed again for almost 3 hours just that first day. Just explaining how the business works, what their steps were to remediate the mold, and then all the people that we would need to come in behind him. He texted me every one of the contacts. He got his plumber out the very same day to come in and take a look at what he was suspecting was going on. So I just really felt like I could trust him, and like he's just like, don't worry about it, we're going to take care of everything, just relax. And so I honestly feel like we are relaxed, and he's handling everything, and he's okay, now we're going to call this person, now we're going to do this. So it's really, I've never worked with a professional, honestly, before, like Jim.
The remediation process was very easy. We had to be out of the house for about approximately 6 hours while they were treating the house and removing the mold. So we were able to come back 5.5 hours afterwards, and the house smelled completely different, much better.
Yeah.
And things you don't recognize because you're used to it, it smelled very different and fresh.
So when we came back into the house, the first thing I noticed is that my throat wasn't closing up, which is what my throat does when I'm exposed to any kind of mold, mycotoxins, anything like that. That was my brain immediately went, is my throat closing up? And it wasn't. And so I felt safe coming into the house. And even our daughter came in later that day and was saying the air is so much lighter. Like, it was palpable. You could feel the lightness in the air. So obviously mold I don't know what it does. I must bring a heaviness to the air, because that was a significant change. There was no smell whatsoever. So that was I was pretty shocked at the difference between, pre and post the house being remediated for the mold.
And I slept better, a lot better. Didn't wake up with that sinus up here, that's tension in your head, feeling. So I could definitely feel the lighter air, fresher, slept a lot better.
Okay, so at the end of the day, honestly, I would not recommend anyone else besides Mold Zero USA, because Jim is extremely professional. He was fast, he was quick. He came out the very next day when I called. He's handled things from day one, from start to finish. And honestly, you can trust him. There wouldn't be anyone else that I would trust with my home.